Hello, I'm Amy from International Business, and today my TED Talk topic is walking in other people's shoes. I believe that all of you have heard of the quote, and probably all of you have been taught to be empathetic for countless time. But why exactly should we do that? In the following content, I will talk about my own perspective with my own story. So before I begin, I would like to ask how many of you have been accused of discriminating against others? Please raise your hand. Okay, just as I have thought, in fact, I have never thought of facing such an accusation until something happened. Something that pushed me to learn the importance of walking in other people's shoes. So, 2 years ago, my friends and I participated in a volunteer service in Puno Tribe Glacier Farm, which is located at Taidong. On the first day, the administrator told us to be prepared for the extreme passion shown by the coming African colleagues. At that time, I wondered that why should I be prepared for that? Won't it be great to work with passionate colleagues? So after a few minutes later, 5 white people laughing and chatting walk in the room. And at the moment that I have an eye contact with them, they beam with exaggerated delight as if we were best friends who had lost contact with each other and now get to have a reunion. So soon I realized what the administrator meant with the wording extreme passion. I was not repulsed by such a reaction, but it actually overwhelmed me. So in the following days, my friend and I seldom interacted with those African colleagues, and it was all because that we have no idea how to respond to their act of passion, such as they kept picking at us on some occasion. And also, they always try to sit between me and my friends and to join our conversation. Or they would just pop up on the road just to greet us. And I could tell that they are making effort to make acquaintances with us. However, it's just again the social distance that I hope to keep. So gradually, I avoid some contact with them on some occasion. For example, I would choose another road to my destination, just in case I will bump into them alone. Or I would take the inner seat of the bench when we were having meal together, so that I wouldn't have to intercourse with them. At that time, I did not consider partially avoiding contact with them was an awful or wrong behavior, since I thought it was common for us to keep distance with people that we were not so fond of. Just as I thought that the volunteer activity was about to end peacefully, such a strike occurred on me. It was the night after the farewell party. My friend and I were on the road back to our dorm. 2 Africans walked directly to us. Feeling that they might intend to shake hands or say goodbye to us, we soon got ourselves prepared for that with sweet smiles on our faces. However, when we found them to the side of the path, they turned to us and calmly popped up with a question. Do you discriminate against us because we are black people? What? At that moment, I have to say, my brain went totally blank. No words can express how shocked I was then. I tried to seek help from my friends next to me, but ended up finding that there are also a lot of confusions in her eyes. So, when my brain could finally function, I immediately denied their accusation and came up with excuses. After we started to communicate, I learned that it was all because they admired some traits that we possess, so that they kept picking at us on some occasions, such as the white skin we had or the straight hair we possess. Also, it was all because that they barely made friends with ancient people in their college, so that they tried so hard to interact with us, hoping that we could become friends. In the final my conversation, I was speechless, and it was because I feel so ashamed. Before you judge a man walking a miles in his shoes, quoted by Bill Connolly, and it is basically a reminder to practice empathy. And it does not only talk about the judgment place, but also the way you treat others. But why should we do that exactly? In our life, there are numerous examples against being empathetic. And many of them show how harmful an act is without empathy. For example, when the pandemic initially hit Taiwan, many people show lack of empathy by strongly refusing to approach medical personnel. Although the reason is somehow reasonable, how heartbreaking would those medical personnel feel when they were busy helping people? An 11-year-old kid told his brother not to mention their mom's job at school, or there would be no friends to play with them. And their mom was a nurse who almost lived in hospital due to the overwhelming passions. One of the extreme examples might be cyberbullying or bullying. In Taiwan, these two behaviors are the main factors that lead to teenager suicide. According to statistics, in 2019, there were about 8,000 teenagers trying to end their life due to the fact that they were bullied, not to mention the number of those who suffer from depression. So why do bullying and cyberbullying happen? The most straightforward reason is that people who bully others lack empathy. They rarely think of others, which make them neglect the consequences and harm they might do to those victims. And another even more serious example might be the recent war triggered by the leader of Russia, Putin. As long as Putin and his army has enough empathy, there will not be so many innocent people killed and city bombed. If they could walk into those refugees' shoes, thinking of themselves or their families suffer such depression of losing their own homeland or beloved, will they still conduct such a brutal assault? We might think that we won't hurt people in such a manner above, but just as I never thought of facing such an accusation, harm is often formed under such situation that we don't even notice. If you cannot think of any example, then think of the way you treat your mom. Do you walk in her shoes before you quiet her line messages? If the answer is no, then you might be careful, because that the harm might be formed already and quietly. So that's why empathy is so important. It makes us to think more and to act with more kindness so as to avoid us from hurting others unconsciously. My own story or experience is the best example showing that all of us have the chance to hurt others unconsciously, which is against our witness. I was obviously not aware of acting that one of the victimizers when I kept distance with those applicants, because I thought that what I did then was right, was reasonable. So although I did not mean to discriminate against those applicants, their accusation taught me a hard lesson, teaching me to be a person with empathy and to act more than reasonable. Hoping that this could be one of your lessons, I call on all of you starting from people around us to treat them with empathy. And only by doing so can we make best effort to prevent misunderstandings, injuries, and even wars. Thank you.
Can we start with any questions or comments?
I have a question. Yeah, I think I do agree that it's very important to cultivate empathy. And I think maybe sometimes people may choose otherwise because they have fear, right?
Yeah.
For example, like when some restaurants, when some shops, when they refuse to serve medical personnel, maybe they just fear the risk of infection.
Yes.
So
I understand that people will fear the infection, but you need to act in more polite way with empathy. Like in the example I mentioned, the boy mentioned their mom's job at school, and so the children might like, oh, we have to stay away from them. Yes, and it did really happen. So I mean that you can show your fear, like remind yourself that you have to wash hands more, but don't behave that obvious.
It's good. So in others? You can raise questions. You can maybe also share with us what you think about the topic. Yes. About Andy? Any thoughts?
I kind of have a similar experience with you. Like 2 years ago, I went on an exchange to Spain, and Spain people like they greet other like very enthusiastic way, like they kiss others' cheeks and party. Yeah, at that time I was also not very comfortable about this body touch. Yeah, so I took some time to like get myself to used to it. Like
Yes, like
I don't want to like feel really like impolite with their greetings, but in the meantime I also feel really uncomfortable about this. Yeah, there's a conflict in my inside my heart.
I totally agree. Because when we were having meal together, those Africans, they want to share that they really want to be close to you, so they will like taking the dish for you, or like just simply grab the food on your plate. Yeah, and it's not so comfortable for me.
So it's what they did very common in their culture.
Yes. Or they will act more than their culture, just to like, they think they're doing this, then can become even
So any others? Yeah.
If you face the same situation again, what will you do to not like offend them, but also make you more comfortable?
I think I will like, if the same situation happen again, like they grab their food on my plate, then I will probably say that, oh, I'm so sorry, but I do not like this food. Yeah. And in my story, that I just like, okay, thank you, and I just leave, because I don't know how to deal with it. Yes, and I just secretly deal with it on my own.
Yeah, I think it's true. Maybe sometimes it's better you just try to tell them how you feel, what you think, right? So they don't misunderstand what you did. Okay, good.
So any others?
Right, so thank you very much.